If you're currently preparing for Part 1, Section D of your CMA syllabus, this is a topic you absolutely cannot ignore. So let's just dive right in and demystify exactly what an ERP is and why it matters so much to us as management accountants.
All right, so here's our roadmap for today. We're going to hit the business nervous system, look at core ERP characteristics, talk about optimizing the supply chain, get real about implementation risks, and finally, we'll practice how to spot the exam trap. Let's get right into it.
Starting off with Section 1, the business nervous system, connecting the enterprise.
Now, right off the bat, let me just reassure you. The ICMA, they don't expect you to be IT programmers, okay? You really just need to understand how these systems drive cost management and strategic decisions. So I want you to completely change how you visualize a corporation. Stop thinking about isolated departmental bubbles, and instead think of an ERP as the literal central nervous system of a business. It's this one centralized data system that binds the warehouse, accounting, and sales all together into a single, real-time brain. It totally replaces that old, clunky way of operating like disconnected islands, which honestly was just incredibly slow and super error-prone.
To really grasp the value here, we gotta contrast it with the incredibly painful past of legacy systems. Those things were just plagued by siloed data and massive delays. Imagine this scenario. Sales crushes it, they sell 1,000 units on a Tuesday. But accounting, they don't even find out about the resulting inventory drop until the month-end close, weeks later. I mean, that was an absolute nightmare for cost management. Modern ERPs completely wipe that out. With integrated data and real-time updates, you finally have a single source of truth. The very second a transaction happens, the entire business knows about it.
Moving on to Section 2, let's look at core ERP characteristics, basically looking under the hood of the system.
Okay, so now that we've got the broad concept down, let's zero in on the specific technical traits the ICMA exam is absolutely going to test you on. You've got to commit these three to memory. First up, the centralized database. This is what creates that one version of the truth, so data entered by procurement is instantly right there for finance. Second is real-time processing. Think about when a customer buys something online. The ERP instantly updates manufacturing schedules, it drops inventory levels, and it updates accounts receivable, all without a single human having to re-enter data. And finally, module-based architecture. Think of ERPs kind of like building blocks. Your supply chain, HR, and finance modules, they all just plug in and seamlessly speak the exact same language.
And you know, this deep integration, it's absolute pure gold for us as management accountants. Why? Well, because it totally eliminates data duplication, and it drastically cuts down on administrative errors. But the biggest win for a CMA? It enables instantaneous variance calculations. You don't have to sit around for 30 days to figure out your material price variance anymore. The system actually lets you track your actual costs and margins literally the moment they happen.
All right, Section 3, optimizing the supply chain, flowing from raw material all the way to the customer.
Let's take those core ERP traits we just talked about and apply them directly to physical performance. An ERP transforms three critical areas of the supply chain. Step 1 is inventory management. Because it's tracking inventory across multiple warehouses in real time, the ERP uses automated reorder points. Basically, when stock hits a minimum threshold, boom, a purchase requisition is automatically triggered. That minimizes your safety stock and just slashes holding costs. Step 2 is supplier relationship management, where the system tracks literally every single interaction you have with a vendor. And Step 3 is demand forecasting. The ERP harnesses massive amounts of data to give you incredibly accurate predictions of what you're going to need tomorrow.
Let's dig a little deeper into Step 2 and see exactly how an ERP powers supplier relationship management. Take vendor lead time, for example. The ERP is automatically tracking this over time, which lets you perform a highly accurate total cost of ownership analysis. What about defect rates? Well, because defects are captured right there in the procurement module, you can evaluate your vendors way beyond just their initial sticker price. Look, if a quote-unquote cheap vendor has a massive defect rate, the ERP data is going to prove they're actually costing you way more. And finally, real-time receiving data gives you these flawless delivery accuracy metrics, which is huge for strategic vendor selection. You're no longer just guessing, you're making hard decisions backed by data.
To wrap up this supply chain optimization piece, just keep this golden rule in mind. Better forecasts mean production schedules match true demand. When you feed historical sales data directly into forecasting models, the ERP essentially becomes the ultimate engine for the lean manufacturing concepts we explore throughout the CMA syllabus. You literally only make what the data tells you the customer's going to buy, and that dramatically drives down waste.
Okay, Section 4, Implementation Risks. Time for the reality check.
So I do need to shift my tone here and give you a bit of a warning. As your professor, I can promise you the exam absolutely loves testing the financial and operational risks of these systems. Look, ERPs are not these magical, flawless wands. They are massive, highly risky business undertakings. First off, you're looking at exorbitant costs. The capital outlay for licenses, server hardware, and all those implementation consultants, it is staggering. Second is business process reengineering, or BPR. You actually have to go in and change your company's workflows to fit the software, which, let me tell you, guarantees employee resistance. And third, high failure rates. These implementations are just notorious for budget overruns, totally missed deadlines, and in the worst-case scenarios, absolute supply chain paralysis because of system glitches.
There's a really common saying in the tech industry. You cannot just pave over old, broken processes with expensive new software. I mean, that perfectly highlights the harsh reality of business process reengineering. If your warehouse processes are inefficient and messy to begin with, slopping a multi-million-dollar ERP on top of them, that just gives you incredibly fast, incredibly expensive, messy processes. Companies have to do the grueling heavy lifting to change how they actually operate so they fit the best practice framework built into the ERP. Which brings us to a massive exam tip for you focused learners out there. When you're sitting there as a management accountant evaluating an ERP investment, the ICMA expects you to look way beneath the surface of that initial software price tag. You always have to factor in the hidden underwater costs. We're talking extensive user training, really expensive ongoing maintenance, and that inevitable productivity dip that happens when your employees are pulling their hair out trying to learn the new system. So please, do not let the exam trick you into ignoring those operational costs.
And that brings us to Section 5, Spot the Exam Trap, where we test your knowledge.
Let's actively apply everything we've just learned to a classic CMA-style conceptual hurdle. This right here is where we separate the novices from the prepared professionals. All right, consider this scenario. A company has delayed closings and frequent stockouts due to poor communication between departments. What is the primary strategic benefit of an ERP to resolve this? Now notice the distinct pain points the examiners are intentionally feeding you here. Delayed financial month-end closings and siloed communication that's leading directly to inventory stockouts.
So, let's break down exactly how the exam board sets up their traps. An incorrect option might try to tell you an ERP eliminates all risk. Well, we know that's blatantly false based on those massive implementation risks we just talked about. Another trap might claim it reduces short-term costs. False again. The initial capital outlay is absolutely huge. A third trap could say it replaces human analysis. No way. Never. An ERP is amazing at providing data, but it absolutely does not replace the CMA's brain. So what's the correct answer? An ERP provides a centralized database for real-time visibility across sales and procurement. That centralized database is the essential bridge that fixes that siloed communication and directly solves the problem of delayed closings. To wrap up our Masterclass Explainer today, I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative thought. An ERP provides the ultimate business visibility and data integration. But is your organization truly prepared for the exorbitant cost and the massive culture shock of actually implementing one? It really is the ultimate balancing act of costs, risk, and strategic reward. Keep that balance in mind during your prep. If you review these concepts and you truly understand the logic connecting the data, you are absolutely going to crush the ERP questions on your CMA exam. Keep studying hard, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.